talk about a bipartisan approach to fixing our debt crisis. I don't see that coming anytime soon. But as far as the economy is concerned, this week the International Monetary Fund is warning that the Ghanaian economy is still facing some significant uncertainty in the coming months. This is despite the current recovery from COVID-19 shocks that hit the economy last year. According to the fund, its assessment is based on the new COVID-19 wave, rising debt stock, and large financing needs of government. Now, these concerns were captured in the IMF's Executive Board's Article 4 consultation with Ghana, which was finalized on Monday. Now, the IMF in its report noted that whilst risk to the country's capacity to repay its debt has increased, it believes that they are still manageable. It also maintained that the debt will rise further this year, costing 80% of GDP by December 2021. The Article 4 consultations are done by the fund to assess the health of member countries. Now, joining me now is Yaolate partner and financial advisory leader at Deloitte Ghana to discuss this. And great to have you tonight. And congratulations in order. We haven't spoken on TV since you're promoted to partner. Congratulations, Yao.
Okay, thank you very much, Daryl. Thank you.
Right. Your thoughts on the IMF's warning and how do we navigate that?
Yeah, so I think the IMF warning, it's well in order, I would say, because there are some prospects which have not inured to our benefits. So the first one being, you would say, our challenges with our COVID management. So we had some supply challenges with the supply and distribution of the COVAX. And as a result of that, our COVID plan or rollout plan for vaccination has been affected. And as you know, we propose or we have budgeted getting a GDP of 5% in 2021. So if our COVID vaccination rollout delays, that affects our ability to increase economic activity as expected, and we may not hit our target. The second challenge we will have or we've had is our rising debt levels. And you notice that in the first quarter of the year, we went to the commercial market to borrow $3 billion Euro bond. That had its own pluses and minuses. So the plus was that it increased our forex reserves and our CD stabilized over the period. But then our debt levels has increased because we ended the year at a debt level of 73% of GDP. If you add the 3 billion to that, our 296 billion debt that we had by the end of the year, you will notice that we are in excess of 300 billion Ghana cedis of debt. That is some risk which the IMF has noted. And so these are some of the challenges that we had. And in addition to that, some countries have entered into a third and fourth wave of COVID. These are countries that, in ordinary sense, demand some of our primary export commodities, gold, the diamond, oil resources, and so on and so forth. So if they enter into third and fourth wave of COVID, the IMF has noted, and government will have to observe that. But we have some opportunities, or like I said, there are some prospects. The first one being oil prices. So in the government of Ghana budget statement for 2021, government had estimated oil price to be at about 54.8%. As we speak, oil price about 70% per barrel. That is an opportunity government should take advantage of. Support the Jubilee oil partners to increase production so that we get the upsides or the windfall from the high levels of oil prices. Because if the trend, as we are seeing, is anything to go by, it is possible there's a risk that some countries will go into the third and fourth wave. That will likely affect oil prices adversely, in which case oil price was likely to tumble down again. But now that oil price at 70% per barrel, almost 70% per barrel, we will want government to take advantage of that, support the Jubilee oil partners to increase production. The second thing is that we've seen government roll out some tax policies and tax programs. One of them is the increase of VAT by 1 percentage point. We expect that to yield some positive returns because there's gradual return to buoyant economic activity. People are buying, people are selling. And if you have a tax on VAT or increase in VAT, and there's economic activity, there's increased economic activity, you are likely to get a lot of returns on that. What we expect government to do is to ensure that the revenues that are mobilized from our internal generated sources, like the increase in taxes, are used for the intended purposes. We do not expect, or we are hoping that we don't enter into a third wave of COVID, where we have to go on lockdown, we have to support.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we are told that we are already experiencing a third wave of COVID-19 because our numbers are really shooting up. And so what sort of crisis does that present to us, especially when we are looking at economic recovery as well as business recovery?
Yeah, so I think the risk is there. And the risk with COVID are in two fronts. So what happened in 2020, if it's anything to go by, the two fronts that I mentioned is one, there is a significant decline in economic activities. And as a result of that, all the revenues that we have budgeted to be gotten out of indirect taxes, the increase in VAT, the increase in all the indirect taxes that government put in the budget, we are not likely to achieve that target. The second will be that government will have to increase expenditure to support its COVID management programs. Last year, we spent 11.7 billion Ghana cedis in COVID support activities alone. That 11.7 billion is significant. It's a lot of money that was on budget for. As a result of that, our deficit, which was projected to be at less than 5%, we ended the year at about 11.7 or 11.8%. So if we go into a situation where it becomes an extreme situation, where we have to go on lockdown and stuff like that, we are likely to miss our target for 2021. We are likely to incur a lot more expenditure as government, and then we are likely to borrow, in which case you'll be eating into or getting into a situation where we getting into the worsening debt situation that we've had historically. So we want to avoid that. If we want to avoid that, we have to take advantage of all the measures that we have.
By the IMF and figures like what we are hearing from Fitch. And how come we don't feel the growth trickle down?
Yeah, so I think for Ghana as a country, there are a lot of things that have inured to our benefit. One of them is that we've had the benefit of not getting into a situation where we have to deal with insurgent situation, we have to deal with violence, we have to deal with all the political instability that we are seeing in neighboring countries and other sub-Saharan African countries. All the way, even in South Africa, we've seen recent times where there have been violence and unrest. We don't have that situation in Ghana. So that political stability creates an opportunity for businesses to thrive, for investors to bring foreign direct investment. So we get the advantage of that and the benefit of that. In addition to that, there are some other positive developments that are going to work for us as a country. One of them being the increasing price of commodities, our primary commodities. So we've seen gold prices, we've seen price of oil and others staying at high levels. So our primary commodities that we have relied on in the past, if you continue to increase production of these primary commodities, as a commodity-based economy, we are likely to take advantage of that. And then we also have some programs that we have rolled out to support some businesses. And I believe if those programs are properly implemented and monitored, we are likely to get a benefit as a country. So there are some positive developments, which if as a country we take advantage of, we will stand to benefit.
Okay.
I think, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you my last question because we're running out of time. I want to ask you about the upcoming media review and news that from our sources that the finance minister would not present a supplementary budget. Is that good news?
Well, I think it's a yes and no. Yes, in the sense that sounds we are not in a worsening situation. Usually when oil prices go below the $50 mark, there's immediate request for you to submit a supplementary budget support or to look at programs that immediately support the budget. Now, it means that there is we are not in a situation where it's a hopeless one, where there is an urgent need for that to happen. But on the other hand, we still need some insight or outlook from the ministry as to what it's doing to manage some of the risks that are still lingering. So there are some risks that we haven't completely gotten out of. One of them being our rising debt levels. The second being the impact of COVID, and the third wave as we find ourselves in, how government intends to manage that. So we expect the Minister of Finance in the statement that is expected to be laid or presented to Parliament to have some programs to manage some of the risks that have not been completely taken out as we speak, because those are things that we need to have programs or measures in place so we are not taken by surprise.